Welcome to this quick introduction to account reconciliation. My name's Jess and I'm a senior consultant here at Pivot2 Solutions. Pivot2 Solutions are an Australian team who help you get more out of NetSuite, especially around account reconciliation. So you're not stuck reconciling accounts in spreadsheets and can actually see what's going on in real time. In the next couple of minutes, we'll cover what account reconciliation is, why finance teams use it, and the outcomes it can help you achieve during your month end. Why do reconciliations matter? Well, every month end relies on one thing: confidence in numbers. Reconciliations is how you get there, confirming that each GL balance is complete, correct, and supported. The challenge is that many finance teams still do this process across spreadsheets, email, and shared drives, and that creates delays, duplicate effort, errors, and limited visibility for reviewers. Account Rec exists to bring structure, consistency, and control to that process. So, what does account reconciliation do? It gives you one place to manage and track all reconciliations. It standardizes formats, keeps supporting evidence attached to each account, and gives everyone a clear view of what's complete, what's pending, and what needs attention. Instead of chasing files and status updates, the whole process becomes transparent and predictable. Here's how this can be achieved. From the homepage, the user can access their worklist via the worklist card. This card will show them all the reconciliations and tasks that they're responsible for. The user can click on the account name and it will take you directly to the reconciliation. In the reconciliation drawers, we can see information like, on the properties card, we can see how the reconciliation has been configured. Instructions. These can be particularly helpful if you're using the Teams functionality. This means that any member of the preparation team can claim the reconciliation and view the instructions on how this rec should be prepared. This helps maintain a standardized approach to the reconciliation, regardless of preparing the rec. The workflow. This lets the users know at what stage the reconciliation process the rec is up to and who's responsible for that stage. There's the opportunity to add audit requirement checklist questions. These questions can be anything that the business needs. In this example, you can see that there are two configured on the rec. The preparer needs to answer these before they can submit the reconciliation for review. Attachments. They can be associated with the summary of the reconciliation or specific to the balance explanations or individual adjustments. These can be carried forward into future reconciliations, which is especially helpful if the account is one that has minimal movements over time. Attachments can be any file type, and links to URLs can also be used. Prior month reconciliations can be accessed from the current month, which is particularly helpful when the user needs to navigate back to historical reconciliations. It makes it easy for them to do this without having to close out the rec, navigate to the month they need, and then find the account again. There's also the history drawer. On this drawer, all actions taken on the reconciliation are recorded. This is great in the case of some unexpected changes to a reconciliation. Users can navigate here and find out what was done, who did it, and when. Now let's talk about how automation can reduce low-value work. A big driver for teams adopting Account Rec is the ability to automate low-risk, repetitive reconciliations. Zero balance accounts, unchanged accounts, and accounts that match subledgers exactly can be auto-reconciled, so you spend time where judgment and analysis actually matters. For high-volume recs, the optional transaction matching module removes the manual line-by-line matching that slows down teams and holds little value. Account reconciliation will basically do the rec for you at month end. We can configure rules or use the out-of-the-box rules that tell the application when it should or shouldn't automatically reconcile an account for us. Here's an example of a balance comparison type rec. Here we can see that the source system and the subsystems tie exactly. The account rec has been configured to process this reconciliation all the way to the status of closed because this auto reconciliation criteria is set on the profile. As you can see, on the Properties tab, the auto reconciliation method is set to balance 0 and no activity. Account reconciliation will basically do the reconciliation for you at month end. We can configure rules or use the out-of-the-box rules that tell the application when it should or shouldn't automatically reconcile an account for us. Here's an example of a balance comparison type rec, where you can see that the source system and the subsystems tie exactly. Account rec has been configured to process the reconciliation all the way to the status of closed, because this auto reconciliation criteria is set on the profile of the reconciliation. As you can see, on the Properties tab, the auto reconciliation method is set to balance match with a % tolerance. And if I click on the Workflow tab, you can see that the system has automatically prepared, reviewed, and then closed the reconciliation. Beside automation of the reconciliation process, there's also the ability to set up rules to copy transactions forward from a prior reconciliation. This is particularly useful in the accounts that use the account analysis format. A lot of the time, these accounts need the explanations from prior months to help justify the closing balance of the current month. This automation saves the end user lots of time at month end. You can also manually copy transactions from a prior month reconciliation. And here's an example of how you can do this. This particular reconciliation is an example of an account analysis type rec, because there's just the one data source. I click on Balance Explanations, click here, Copy Transaction from Prior Reconciliation. This is the one I want, and I click Copy. In addition to this, account reconciliation also allows you to set up amortization or accretion schedules. These are really helpful when there's a bunch of prepayment or accrual schedules. And these can be set up on the reconciliation, and rules can be configured that will automatically use the movement from the schedule as the balance explanation. Again, this saves the preparer time at month end so that they can focus on the more value-add activities. Here's an example of how you do that. You come into the balance explanation, you choose the methodology, you can set your method, start date, how many periods you wish to have the schedule calculate for, expand, and you can see we're starting from a balance of 0 and building the balance up to what our balance explanation balance was. Another example of the application being able to reduce the low value work and help accountants focus on the higher value activities of analysis is in transaction matching. This module can be used in conjunction with reconciliation compliance or as a standalone module. In this example, the two modules are linked. And we can access the reconciliation through the worklist or the reconciliation card. We can view the summary of the reconciliation, and then we can see the details of the match results by clicking on the matching button. This takes us to our match process overview. The overview gives us a summary of the results of the match process at a point in time. We can see on the balance summary that we have the balance of the source systems, the unmatched transactions and their categorization, and the closing balance of the process. By clicking on the cards on the left, we can view the details of the match process. We can review and confirm or discard the suggested matches, as well as toggle through suggested matches. On the unmatched transactions card, we can review the unmatched transactions and perform activities here like manually matching transactions, providing support for transactions that have a legitimate reason to be unmatched. We can adjust transactions out of the match process. We can split transactions so that matches can be made from part of a transaction. On the matched transaction card, we can review the transactions that have been automatically matched by the system. These matches were made because match rule criteria was configured based on particular business requirements. Transactions can be matched on a one-to-one, many-to-one, many-to-many basis. Adjustments can be automatically created as part of the matching process too. There is a myriad of different ways data can be used to create matches. In addition to the above, there's the functionality to export the adjustments. That is, those transactions that we either adjusted out or matches that were not exact dollar value matches that need to be updated in the ERP. From all of these, we can now see the outcomes of using a tool like account reconciliation. Teams using account rec typically experience shorter, more predictable month ends, fewer manual touch points, clearer ownership across entities and accounts, improved auditability and control, and more time spent on analysis rather than those low value added activities. The goal isn't just speed, it's clarity, consistency, and trust in the numbers you report. A way our account reconciliation users can gain this extra clarity and are able to measure their month-end metrics is by using the built-in dashboards. There are 3 that come as part of standard of the application: overview, compliance, and match metrics. But there's also the ability to build your own custom dashboards. In these examples, you can see that there are dashboards that capture information on the reconciliation and their status at month end. A great feature of these dashboards is that the reconciliations that are behind the presentation of these dashboards can be accessed by clicking on the different aspects of the dashboard. These lists are also able to be exported and downloaded into Excel. So how do you know if Account Rec is right for you? So Account Rec is most useful when spreadsheets are becoming hard to manage, reviewers lack visibility over the period end reconciliation process, and there's a lot of reconciliation rework. High volume matching eats up time, controls or audit requirements are growing, and reconciliations need to be viewed in multiple currencies. If these drivers feel familiar, a centralized approach usually makes the close smoother and more reliable. How Pivot2 can help you. Pivot2 works with finance teams to implement Account Rec in a way that aligns with how you operate today, not how a template says you should work. We work closely with your subject matter experts along the implementation journey so as to ensure the outcomes achieved are aligned with your expectations. This also allows for you to learn as we go, becoming experts in Account Rec along the way. We help you map out your current reconciliation process. We design a structured, risk-based reconciliation approach, set up automation rules that genuinely reduce effort. We establish a clear, scalable close workflow across entities and build a roadmap for areas like transaction matching or multi-entity expansion. The focus is practical uplift, giving you a cleaner, more controlled month-end without unnecessary complexity. So that's a quick overview of account reconciliation. If you'd like further resources, examples, or a deeper dive into how teams structure their month-end around this, feel free to reach out.